You know the scene, right? You're at work, maybe grabbing a coffee, and your coworker just cornered you to talk about their new house. They're showing you pictures of their kitchen like it's their firstborn child. And you're nodding along, but inside there's that little voice going, "Why haven't I done that yet? Am I falling behind?" Well, what if I told you nothing is wrong with you at all? See, you've been sold a lie, a really big one. The lie is that owning a home is the only way to build wealth, and that renting is just lighting your money on fire. Today, we're going to tear that idea apart, not with feelings, but with cold, hard math. So let's get into it.
This is the classic line, isn't it? It's the ultimate trump card in any rent versus buy debate. The logic seems so simple. Rent goes to a landlord, a mortgage builds your equity. But here's the thing. That's a wildly incomplete picture. Because when you own a home, you are throwing away a ton of money. Way more than you think.
All right, so let's break this down and talk about the real cost of owning a home. This is where we look past the shiny brochures and get into the nitty-gritty of where your money is actually going each month. To make this super clear, we're going to use a really straightforward example. Let's imagine a pretty typical $400,000 house. You put down 50 grand, so you've got a $350,000 mortgage. Sounds standard, right? So, at a 7% interest rate over 30 years, that mortgage payment for your principal and interest comes out to $2,330 a month. Okay, maybe a little steep, but it seems manageable. But that's not the real number. Not even close. First, let's tack on property taxes. On a house like this, that can easily be another $500 every single month, depending on where you live. And let's be clear, that $500, poof, gone. It builds you exactly zero equity. Ooh, and of course, the bank isn't going to give you a loan without homeowners insurance. So you can add another, say, $200 a month to the pile. Again, that's money you're paying just to protect the asset. It's not making you any richer. And this is the big one that everybody conveniently forgets to mention. It's the 1% rule. The rule of thumb is you gotta budget about 1% of your home's value every year for maintenance. Because, stuff breaks, roofs leak, water heaters fail. For our 400K house, that's $4,000 a year, or $333 a month you need to set aside. Okay, so when you put it all together, your real monthly housing cost is over $3,300. But here is the absolutely shocking part. Just look at this chart. In your first year, nearly 60% of that money is pure interest, going straight to the bank. Add in taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and whopping 91% of your money is being thrown away. Only that tiny little sliver, just 9%, is actually building your equity. So if owning isn't the amazing equity builder we've been told it is, how does it really stack up against renting and then, investing the difference? Well, let's set up a little 30-year financial race and see who comes out on top. All right, let's meet our contenders. On the left, we have person A, the renter-investor. They rent a comparable place for a simple $2,000 a month. On the right, we have person B, the homeowner. Now, we already calculated their costs are over $3,300, but just to be conservative, because owners have higher utility bills and surprise repairs, we'll round their all-in housing cost up to an even $4,000 a month. This means person A, our renter, has $2,000 extra dollars every single month to invest. So how does this play out? We'll assume the renter gets an average 7.2% return on their investments, and the home appreciates at a historical average of about 3% a year. After just 10 years, the renter is already crushing it. But look at year 20, and then year 30. This is the insane power of compounding interest at work. The renter's wealth just explodes upwards. And this chart, this chart says it all. After 30 years, the renter-investor has a liquid net worth of $2.4 million. The homeowner, they have a paid-off house worth about $970,000. The renter didn't just win, they won by more than double, and they never had to unclog a single drain. So the math is pretty clear. But what does this actually feel like in the real world? Well, this brings us to a really dangerous place called the house poor prison. It's the situation where even if you make a really good income, your house eats up so much of it that you're basically living paycheck to paycheck. It's a prison that looks like success from the outside. Let's look at a family we'll call the Johnsons. They bring home a very impressive $11,000 a month after taxes. But just watch how fast this money evaporates. First, housing takes out over $3,000. Then their cars, gas, and loans take another big chunk. Then daycare, food, and utilities. And just like that, their impressive $11,000 income has shrunk to just $2,300. That has to cover everything else. One surprise car repair, and their whole month is blown. They're trapped.
This whole situation leads to a really fascinating idea called Schrodinger's wealth. Think about it. Your home equity, it exists on paper, but it's not real money you can actually use. You can't spend it, you can't use it in an emergency unless you sell the very roof over your head. So it both exists and doesn't exist at the same time, which makes it a pretty useless asset when you're in a jam.
Okay, so if the old American dream of a house with a white picket fence is actually a financial trap for a lot of people, what does winning actually look like? This is where we get to redefine success and find a smarter path to real financial freedom. So let's just ask the big question. If being house poor with a bunch of make-believe wealth isn't the goal, then what is? What does winning look like today? The answer has nothing to do with owning physical stuff. It has everything to do with having options and real, tangible security. Here it is. This is the new path. Winning means having the flexibility to pick up and move for that dream job without worrying about selling a house. It means having actual cash in the bank, liquidity, to handle a job loss or a medical emergency. It means building real, spendable wealth by investing consistently. It's the peace of mind you get from knowing a broken furnace won't bankrupt you. In a word, it's freedom.
So what's the big takeaway here? Look, this isn't to say buying a home is always a bad idea for everyone. There are emotional reasons for sure, but when it comes to the pure financial argument, you cannot blindly follow the old rules. The most powerful thing you can do is just run the numbers yourself. Compare the true all-in cost of owning versus renting and investing the difference in your city. The math is literally screaming the answer. You just have to be willing to listen.